Hey, welcome back to another exciting edition of the Shoe and Show podcast here in 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Matt Priest. I'm joined today by Sandi Mines, and I've asked Sandi to come on to have a conversation with our guest today because Sandi runs the Fashion Footwear Association in New York. She's president of FANY as of 2025. She's been promoted to, we all kind of knew you're running it, Sandi, behind the scenes, but we wanted to make it official to the industry. But also you chair the Footwear Trade Show Council, which is a loosely affiliated group of trade show executives that meet regularly throughout the year just to compare notes on dates, on experiences, on best practices, just so that our members and our vendors and our customers understand that those of us who are planning their experiences from buying and selling product are actually talking to each other. So we're not overlapping where we can. It's not always possible, but nevertheless, I'm really excited about today's conversation. Who is on the Shoe and Show program today, Sandi?
Yes, today we have our very special guest and a good friend to FDRA and FANY, Bernice VanBuhler. She runs the Chicago Shoe Market, and we're very excited to hear about what's going on. So welcome, Bernice.
Well, thank you so much. You have no idea how excited I am that you invited me on this podcast. I appreciate it, Sandi and Matt. And the Trade Council group is just a wonderful idea to help grow and really, with the industry and the market. I think with regional shows, it's important, very important.
It's extremely important to be open and transparent about dates and changes and new happenings on what's happening in the landscape of trade shows as they are really back in action, robust, they're exciting, and there's a place for so many trade shows to be happening to make it really easy for brands and retailers to come and attend to see different things, different brands. So I'm excited to kind of dive in. But before we get started on the show itself, Bernice, tell us a little bit about your shoe story and how you entered the footwear industry.
Okay. Well, currently, as you said, I am the executive director for the Chicago Shoe Market, which was formerly the Windy City Shoe Show. I've been there for a little over 12 years. I worked in many different aspects of retail and management, sales, assistant buying in the past. And then I worked in merchandising and marketing for a large automotive company, Lincoln Ford Motor Company. And so that's kind of where I had the different aspects of retail. But Saks Fifth Avenue was one of the stores that I worked in contingent when I was working at Lincoln Mercury at the same time. And yep, love the industry, just love everything about it, and worked in the shoe department and a lot of different departments when you're contingent. And yeah, basically, here I am now working in, and I love this. It's been 12 years, really passionate about the industry and the people in the market.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about what's happening at the market, where it's come over the last few years, and like what's to look ahead for 2025. I know you have a show upcoming. What's going to be exciting for retailers to come and check out?
Well, it's exciting because we have a lot of really good staple brands, and really with the regional trade shows, it's so important for the communities as the stores would like us to shop local. So would the entire industry, which means the trade shows and the brands make a big effort to lay out, all their product rather than, taking it to the store and not having the exact time and actually not displaying their entire line. Also, it just allows them to really have a professional networking, nurturing of relationships, and actually getting their work done when they're not pressured, with a lot of, extra noise that happens in a lot of trade shows, which is fantastic in the large shows. But it's just good to have a balance, especially when you're running a retail store, whether they're small or larger. So I feel like we just have that kind of environment. And I actually have a quote from one of our really strong stores. He said, "The Chicago Shoe Market is one of the easiest and most relaxed shows we attend every season. The showrooms are easy to navigate with premium and high quality vendors. The location is easy to access and lodging, parking and food are readily available at a great price. The Chicago Shoe Market is always one of my most productive shows we attend during the buying season. And this, I asked if I could use his name. His name is Kevin Weezer with Brown Shoe Fit organization. As you know, it's a large organization. He comes from Dubuque, Iowa. He travels in, stays for the whole show. More of their Brown Shoe Fits do attend. But so it's an important show, but it's a struggle as well when a lot of these stores really don't have the budget or possibly the time when they're shorthanded to get to all the shows.
Well, let me ask you this, Bernice. Let me kind of put out there a theory and see if it's played out with your show. After the COVID era, we saw like a movement back towards a regionalized approach to the shows. We used to have these national shows, and you could argue that Fanny's a national show in its own right for certain segments of the industry, not everybody. You could argue Atlanta serves some of that purpose, but there wasn't the FN platforms, the WSAs, to even go further back than FN platform. That with COVID, we got back to more regionalized, or even some of the big brands like, you know what, we're not going to do the shows. You just come to us in our headquarters and buy there. Did you see with the movement through COVID and out of it, this hyper focus, or at least a more kind of dedicated focus towards a regional opportunity, basically for the reasons that your customer just outlined there, right? It's accessible, it's easy to get to, it's not as expensive, it's not as chaotic. There's less people in the sense of, creating a lot of noise and hard to navigate through. Walk us through kind of the current landscape and the importance of a regional show like yours.
Well, it was interesting because during COVID, I think we were one of the only shows that actually made it. We actually had a market. We put all the precautions plus. The hotel got accolades. It was a huge deal. But unfortunately, after that, I think with right after that, the loss of some of the stores going down and some of the brands having their issues, things got a little bit different and slower. So we really had a big, surge, I'd say like the year after that. And then it's been just an interesting concept as far as the stores in the Midwest area that we were in. I think we also have some larger apparel shows, and in some of the boutique traffic sometimes is tough for them to get out. But on the upside, I feel like the brands are the ones that we have that do come, they're so loyal to the show, and then the really good stores that come. In effect, they try to promote the fact that they can, like you said, navigate the show. They can get a lot of work done. We offer educational programs. We have an AI presentation that would be really good this time. It's not just ChatGPT. It's about computer vision. It's huge. It depends on, what kind of store we're talking about, but there's a lot to offer there. So again, I think that, COVID had a major impact. But then as we all know too, Vegas was a huge show. And things can happen on a dime. It can change, tomorrow. So it's hard to predict, but I was hoping, we were hoping to get a little bit more traffic, and we'll see how it goes. We have a lot of good brands.
It seems like you have a lot of good brands, and the retailers that are in that central location really are drawn to the fact that you're a 2-day show. So you're cutting out all the excess. And as we know, so many people come to the trade shows, and, even Fanny Market Week is the entire week, but really it's all packed into 2 days, maybe 2.5 days, truly. So what you do for them is just to say, here it is. It's just 2 days, come in, do your business, write your orders, and get out of there. Right. So I think there's something really nice about that format. And then also your advantage from my perspective is that you're right ahead of all of the other big trade shows in my mind. In January, you lead the charge on it. So people can come in and see first and see fast and preview things. And that's a really nice position to be in as far as I'm concerned. So I think those are a couple of really positive things that you offer the industry.
Yes, actually, our board has worked so diligently, really, really hard on the dates. As you know, it's hard to navigate when you're a smaller show around the bigger ones, but just to be at a sweet spot where they have their product, there's a difference between fashion and comfort shoes. It's kind of blending now, but it still is sometimes hard for them with their deadlines. So I think we are at a sweet spot. Our date is good. And I think, the retailers and the brands really appreciate that. And
Yes,
that's, we've kind of, we are a midweek show. We're a Tuesday setup, Wednesday, Thursday, which is kind of ideal in
right.
between many other shows. So yeah, I think,
That's
we
great.
offer, yeah, it is really good.
What
But
are your dates, Bernice? Like, what's the typical year look like for you?
well, we are a two show market now, and it's typically now the end of January, end of July. And there are different, like I said, we have a pretty diverse board. So we have independents and non, and then we have a director of marketing. We also have a retired shoe dog which on the boards, which is nice to get, different aspects of the business. But they want to go earlier many times, but then sometimes we start to lose, some of the brands like the
Mhm.
European brands and those type
Not
of,
ready.
yeah, they're not ready. And even now they struggle sometimes to get their samples.
That's
Yeah,
right.
dates. Sandy, you and I have talked about this ad nauseum, how difficult it is to nail down dates. And we just had the FDRI board met in December to talk through Fanny dates and the whole Thanksgiving, the December Fanny that's a week after Thanksgiving that people grumble about. And we landed on keeping it there, even though we had a whole robust conversation about it. So the dates are you're never going to make everyone happy. And I've learned this over and over again.
Right. And I
Yeah.
like that you've expanded into accessories. We've talked a lot about how these shows can take a little bit more of a risk and open the door to leather goods or accessories. And you said you have a lot of boutiques and apparel um companies that are walking the show. So I think it was smart that you kind of open that door and you're open to having that conversation with the accessories market as well. I think that's something else that you can offer some of those independent retailers that like to walk your show. And I've heard really strong things about it. So I'm excited for what's to come for you. And I think that technology educational piece is crucial. I think that's a really smart move too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's, I think there's a lot out there, and obviously the landscape of the entire industry is just forever changing, and especially since the pandemic. So I think it's good to blend, especially the way the stores are set up now, trying to expand their inventory, not all just specifically footwear. So, and then I know they, I've talked to a lot of retailers. I try to keep in touch with them as much as possible about just offering some of the smaller merchandise that really keeps them afloat during the tough times. Socks, all those accessories that just kind of are money makers, but not exactly large footwear companies.
Yeah, so as we close out the conversation, Bernice, talk to us about the location. Where do you house this? And then if people want information on the dates and how to connect with you, is there a website? How should we direct people to connect with you?
Okay, so you can connect with me by phone or email. And our next market was January 29th and 30th for the retailers, and for the reps, it starts on the 28th. It's in Lombard, Illinois, at the Embassy Suites Hotel right off the freeway. Easy access. Like I said, we have an AI presentation midday. It's at noon on Wednesday, the 29th. It's a director of engineering and willing to talk about ChatGPT, but basically computer vision or any questions they may have. We're going to offer it up to reps and retailers alike with the lunch included, hoping, that they'll stay and be able to eat and learn something important for their stores. Was there anything else that you had mentioned?
And
Forgot.
like, how do people, is there a website or how should people kind of connect
Oh
with
yeah,
you
yeah,
about attending?
yeah. There's a website, chicagoshoemarket.com, and all the information's on that as well. Hold on one second. Oh yeah, my email. Do you want me to, my email,
Sure.
Windy City Shoe Show at gmail.com. I did not come up with that name. Anyways, it's long. Yeah, but I mean, and again, I think the regional shows are such an important part of the industry as the large shows. And the large shows, I mean, I've done buying, and I know there's so many new things you need to see. So why not get your work done at a small regional trade show and then go to the large shows and just really have fun and, with your nighttime dinners, but also seek out the new brands, get your work done that way. and then bring some of those brands back to us.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It's got, I think that what you guys are doing is phenomenal. And I mean, and I know, Matt, what you're dealing with is something else as well. There's a lot going on in the world right now. So anything, that we can do together, I'm there. If you need anything, I'd be happy to volunteer for anything.
I appreciate that, Bernice, very much. And you're just an example of just the robust regional markets that we have. There's many of them. Sandi, what's the website where we house all the different dates for all these regional shows? Can you point us in the direction for that?
It's footweartradeshows.org. That's where you can find all of the trade shows, regional and national and international trade shows alike.
Yeah, so go to footweartradeshows.org. If you're listening, you want to have the full landscape, not just of the Chicago show, but all the regional shows. Bernice, thank you for coming on. Thanks for shining a light on what's a really important aspect of our industry. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful, and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
You got it. So this has been another edition of the exciting Shoe and Show podcast. We're glad that you're listening. If you haven't subscribed yet, you can do that no matter where you get your podcasts, with Apple or Spotify or all the other platforms that are out there. Share it with a friend or rate us. That helps us get the word out more broadly to the industry. We have global listenership, which is really cool. We have listeners in Vietnam and Italy and China and the U.S. and Canada, of course, and the European markets. So if there are topics and issues you want us to cover, hit us a note at info@fdra.org. We'll be happy to consider your request. Until next time, thanks for listening, and Shoe and Show is out.
Shoe In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.